want to finish what we were talking about, the beginning of these bands, because there was Paul Butterfield Blues Band in Chicago. You probably heard of them.
Of course.
And then it was John Mayall and Alexis Corner from England. And they were the two white blues bands that were starting to promote and create this kind of music. So we wanted to be the West Coast answer to them. And I remember, my manager remembers that we went to see him. This is before I joined the band, when the band had another drummer. They went to see him and they told him, we would like to be as famous as Paul Butterfield or as famous as John Mayall. Eventually, Canned Heat became more famous than they, because we had three blues-oriented records that became worldwide hits. And Paul Butterfield never had a hit record. They were famous, they were very talented, and they played great music, but they didn't have a worldwide hit record. And the same thing happened with John Mayall, who had great talent and great history, great musicians that he hired throughout his life, but he didn't have a worldwide blues record.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't realize that. The second one that you had in 1968 was Let's Work Together. Who was writing the material?
No, the second one was Going Up the Country.
Was it? Oh, I got that wrong. I'm sorry. I'll just do that again. The second hit that you had was Going Up the Country. Who wrote that? And what was it about?
Well, the original version comes from Texas, from a one-man band called Henry Thomas, and it's called Going Down South. The music inspired us to make that song, and Alan Wilson changed the lyrics. He used pretty much the same music from Henry Thomas's version from the 20s. It's a very early country blues song, but he changed the lyrics completely. And he called it Going Up the Country, Baby, Don't You Wanna Go? That's why it became so famous, and it became sort of the Woodstock anthem, because it related to the Woodstock Festival. You see, going up the country, baby, don't you wanna go, is going up the mountains, up from New York City to the Catskill Mountains, where the farm was, where the great festival happened. So that's why Going Up the Country became very famous too. It's a great song. The flute part is beautiful, and it became worldwide too, but mainly in America. In America, Going Up the Country is our biggest hit. In Europe, Let's Work Together is our biggest hit.
Oh, that's interesting. I think we took on all three. But talking about those Woodstock days, would that still count as one of the greatest experiences of your whole life?
I guess it was the biggest gig I ever played. And I didn't want to go. I was very tired, and we were upset. We were sad. That big fight with Henry and Larry had just happened at the Fillmore West a few days before. We hired Harvey Mandel right there on the Fillmore West, right after Henry quit and got off, and we still had to play another set, and we didn't have a guitar player to play it with, a lead guitar. So we invited Mike Bloomfield to sit in with us. And Mike played with us, and it sounded like he had been with us for a long time. I mean, it sounded great. After the set, we asked Mike if he wanted to join the band. I said, join Canned Heat, we're doing really good, we're famous, blah, blah, blah. And he said, no, he says, I've been with Paul Butterfield for 3 years, and I'm tired of the road. I don't want to go on the road anymore.
Huh? So he'd just been in the audience that night.
Yeah, he was there in the audience, and Paul was there too, and Harvey Mandel was there too. So we invited Harvey for the second set. And again, Harvey played real good. He was also a great guitar player. They were both from Chicago. They came from that Chicago part of the white blues thing, you know?
Yeah.
Charlie Musselwhite, Paul Butterfield, Barry Goldberg, you know?
Yeah.
All these Jewish from Chicago playing blues, playing black music, you know, amazing.
Yeah.
And then after Harvey played, you know, we also offered him the gig, and he said yes. And 5 days later, we were playing with him at Woodstock, without rehearsing and without practicing, without any time. We just had to go and play the gigs, because after the Fillmore West, we went to New York and play also at the Fillmore East, again without rehearsal and without any time, but it came out okay.
And the experience of playing in Woodstock and being surrounded by all those huge names must have been incredible.
Well, it was amazing. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe here I am. I mean, here I am, a immigrant from Mexico, right? And all of a sudden I find myself in this great festival with all these people there. Of course, I found Carlos Santana there, and I found Chepito Arias, his timbale player, so we could speak a little Spanish there and share a joint.
That's good. So soon afterwards, you had that third hit, which was Let's Work Together. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
That's another nice story of Let's Work Together. Yeah, you must know that Bob Hite and Alan and Henry were musicologists and record collectors. They had an incredible amount of records. I mean, Bob had like thousands of records. So one time we used to go to his house a lot and hang out and listen to music continuously, smoking pot and listen to music. That was Bob Hite's life. He always had music going on in his house and people there. It was like a constant party going on. And he loved to educate. That was what he wanted to do. He wanted to educate people about blues music and about how important, how good it is, how primitive, how it affects your primal instinct. So we were listening to records, and he pulls this record by Wilbur Harrison, the same guy that wrote Kansas City. And we hear this record, and it sounds great. It is Let's Work Together. And he says, Bob says, we should do this song, but let's wait and see if Wilbur Harrison gets a hit with it. If he does, then that's okay. If the song becomes obscure and nothing happens, then we should do it. And that's what happened. We waited about 6 months and nothing happened with the song. It disappeared. So then one time we said, okay, let's work together. And we went to this studio in Hollywood and we did it, and it came almost like magic. It was probably the first or second take. That's it. We did only one or second take, and it was recorded mono-aural, not even stereo.
Wow.
I think we just put some microphones there, and we got such a great sound. If you hear the sound on that song, I mean, it's so heavy, so thick.
Yeah.
We could not repeat it if we tried. I don't even know how it happened, but that's how it happened. And then it became a gigantic hit record, which in your country, they still play a lot.
Absolutely.
And even the last time I was in Canberra, I remember, not the last time, the time before in Canberra, the Parliament was using Let's Work Together.
Were they?
I mean, yeah, the Australian Parliament was using that song to make them work together.
Oh, that's hilarious. We've just
I show up in Canberra and I tell him, I heard that you guys are using our song and we're delighted that you are doing that. So
did they pay you for it?
I don't know. That's another tragic story. We don't get any royalties or any money on any of those songs.
You gave away the rights.
Yes, we lost it. We lost all those rights. And you have to read my book to read that.
I'm going to definitely read
how we lost all our rights. We are just one more band from the 60s that has this tragic story about our royalties. We're not the only ones. Most of us got ripped off and they ended up with nothing. Most of us.
It's a familiar story. I hear it all the time. Absolutely.
It is.
FITO, the reason that we're actually talking today is because your 1998 Rock Plus live show recorded for the 13th Blues Festival in Bonn in Germany in 1998 is just being re-released on CD and DVD. How do you feel about that? I hope you're going to pick up royalties from these sales.
I remember the occasion and I remember the tour. It was with Robert Lucas, who was a great performer too, and unfortunately he also died shortly after. just like the bear Hite. He died of an overdose of heroin. You know, there you go. So I didn't even know they filmed it. I remember the tour, and I remember the playing in Bonn. I think it was in Bonn, right?
That's
In
right.
Bonn, Germany.
Yep.
And I didn't know they filmed it until the offer came to release it from a guy called Julian, I believe. He's
right.
the producer. I don't know where they found it, but I was pleasantly surprised that it sounded so good and it looked good too. So I'm very happy that it's out, and I'm happy that Lucas is getting some recognition there too, and Larry Taylor playing the guitar, and I'm even singing some of the Alan Wilson songs there, which is something I don't do anymore. But in that particular night, I did it. And
which song do you remember? One song that you sang there?
I sang "On the Road Again" and "Going Up the Country."
Oh, cool. All right. Well, we'll definitely play that.
Yeah, at the time I used to be able to reach the high notes, the high really falsetto that Alan did. I cannot do it anymore. But yeah, no, it was a very pleasant surprise to find out that performance was filmed, and it is pretty good. It is good. I liked it. I mean, if we didn't like it, we wouldn't have approved it.
Right.
Yeah. We've heard it and we said, yeah, okay, and so yeah, it is. I guess it's one of the latest canned heat projects that people can buy.
Yeah, and it's definitely, as you said, a good one. These days, you lead the band. You've got a whole team of new members, and you're out there doing gigs again. You're all over the place. Are you coming back to Australia?
I don't know. I don't know if I can. We're pretty tired of traveling. Traveling all the way to Australia is really punishing. I've done it already about 15 times. But there may be another Byron Bay Blues Festival that we may be invited to. I know they were celebrating their 30th anniversary. That's or right. 40th anniversary.
I think the 30th, yeah.
And we were at the original Byron Bay Blues Festival, at the very first one.
It's changed a lot since then.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. I mean, it was done in a little barn. It wasn't a barn,
That's right. And now it's become one of those festivals that you talked about before that doesn't even feature blues musicians.
I know, and it's the Byron Bay Blues Festival is now one of the best, well-known worldwide blues festivals.
Yeah,
And I remember we were touring with Peter Noble, who is the promoter. And in those times, we were just playing, as I said, playing what the local Australian bands were playing, the small clubs and
the
Manson. Where are you? Are you in Melbourne?
I'm in Melbourne. Yeah, I remember seeing you one night at the club in Richmond, the Corner Hotel. Some years ago. That's right. Oh, you got such a good memory. You're amazing for someone who smokes so much pot. Your memory is incredible.
I have great memory.
Incredible.
And,
mine's shot.
Well, that's why my book is so good too, because I was able to recall everything.
Yeah.
We also play at the Prince of Wales Hotel.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good one too. So, but you've got gigs. You're doing lots of local gigs. And are you touring back to Europe again too, or are you just staying within the US now?
Well, you see, this is what happened. The COVID came and we didn't work for 2 years, and all of a sudden I found a real happy place that I've never had in my life.
Yeah.
I've never been 1 month without traveling. In the past 53 years, I never been 1 month or 2 months watching TV and laying back and doing nothing. It was great. Actually, I was already really tired of traveling, and I was having a lot of arguments with my manager because he wanted to continue working at the same pace that we used to work. And, I'm already in my 70s and I'm tired. I told him, I don't even want to work anymore. So eventually we came to an understanding that we're going to do short tours. And we are about to do another tour next month too. As far as going to Europe and going to Australia, maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see how I feel and how my health is. I feel healthy right now. I feel strong. I'm about to do a 15-day tour in September in the East Coast, and we're playing around. This year, we're starting to work again. You see, the thing is this, I love playing music, but I hate traveling. After traveling so much, that's why I always say, the music is for free. What we charge for is to get there.
That's a good line. And it's very true, because traveling is so much more difficult these days than it ever was.
That's a FITO line, by the way.
I love it.
The music is free. What we charge for is to get. And I'll tell you another FITO line. Musicians don't retire. Musicians just die.
Well, you've witnessed that firsthand, haven't you? Many times over.
And look at all my idols. All my idols have died in their 70s, their 80s. I mean, I hang with John Lee Hooker. You know, I used to play with him and play in his band. I was with him in his last show, and I was with him the last 2 years of his life. He was already in his mid-80s when he passed away. And many other of my great artists, you know, Jimmy Reed, I mean, Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, the great drummers.
Yeah,
they were playing in their 70s, and then all of a sudden they were just not playing anymore.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So as I said, musicians don't retire. We just die.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully we want you to stay in very good shape, even if you're not out there playing too much. Enjoy the house. I totally relate to what you're saying. I've never enjoyed my house and not doing anything as much the last 2 years too. I'm about to get up and go to Europe in a couple of months. It's like, I'd rather just stay home. I get it.
I know you get used to getting to this safety area, you know.
That's right.
Because, you know, being on the road is very dangerous too. I mean, you are in danger all the time. You're traveling, you're exposed to all this kind of
everything.
You don't control the circumstances. You don't control that, you know. It's hard. But
Fito,
we'll do it.
Yeah. Just before I let you go, how did you get the nickname Fito?
Fito is nickname for Adolfo. Adolfo is my name in Spanish. And in Latin America, anybody called Adolfo or Rodolfo, they call us Fito.
Got it. Okay.
Adolfito, Rodolfito.
Well, FITO De La Parra, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I thank you so much for being extraordinarily generous with your time. And what a raconteur you are. My biggest problem now will be how to edit this, and I might have to make 2 interviews out of it. I'll send you a link to it. You can have a look when it's done.
I did say the F word once. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It was just, you know, talking.
That's good. So it's all good.
That's how musicians talk anyway.
Absolutely. Stay very, very well, Fito. It's just been fabulous to meet you. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Is this going to be on YouTube?
I will end up putting it on YouTube. I've got a website. I'll point you to that. It's up as a podcast too, and it goes to about 140 radio stations across 5 continents. So I'll send you, now that I've got you on email, I'll send you when it comes out all the links to it so that you can check it out and maybe share it if you'd like to as well.
I like Melbourne a lot.
Come visit.
They
come by
you
yourself.
Guys they call you guys Mexicans because you are from south of the border.
Which border?
You know that, right?
No,
the border from
New
South Wales or whatever.
I didn't know that anybody calls us Mexicans.
But, you didn't know that? Oh,
no.
Come on. Oh, that's from way back.
Oh, well.
Remember,
and I go way back. You're teaching me something.
I've seen more of Australia than most Australians.
Yeah, I bet you have. It's great. Come on back one more time. I'd love to meet you in person. Let's see if we can make it happen. Fito, thanks again. Okay. Great to talk with you. Enjoy your meal. Bye now. Bye.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.